So there's this big event coming up right around the corner. It's called Jeep Beach, and it happens in Daytona, Florida, and it's like a big party. Thousands of people, hundreds of Jeeps, obstacles, this, that, the other, right? Well, today what we want to do is get this Jeep ready for that show.
So what we're starting with is a 2012 Jeep Rubicon. Now this thing is great because there are thousands of aftermarket parts out there to really dress these things up. Your only limit is your budget and your imagination. For us, budget is going out the window, man.
Right.
We're going to make this thing seriously ready for Daytona, and what we're going to do is lift it up 6 inches in the air, going to wrap it in body armor from Poison Spider. We're going to put some power underneath the hood, some new wheels and tires. By the time we get to Daytona, man, we are going to be able to rock it.
So today, this is going from the Rubicon to the, you ready?
No, I know where you're going.
Hang on to this one, baby. The TruckU. Yeah, that's what we're building today.
You went
Check
there.
it. I did. Now listen, after about a week or so, that sounds a lot more normal, because I reacted like that at first too, so over time.
Let's move on. All right, so we'll talk about body armor, man. The guys at Poison Spider really hooked us up, and the first things first, we're going to protect the rockers on this thing with the Brawler rockers. Now grab that side. Yep. Not only do these look cool, man, but these are the real deal. Now it's made of 3/16 steel, so you know it's going to be able to take a beating. It'll protect us from obstacles, stones, rocks, anything we want to hit or hit the vehicle. What we want to do before we go ahead and start putting this on is tape this all off. This way, when we're moving it around, we won't scratch the paint, give it an opportunity to rust underneath this brand new finish, man.
Yeah, that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it?
Right? One of the things I like about these Brawler rockers is where they locate. You can see they mount up nice and high, and that's going to give us a lot of ground clearance. So we're out at Jeep Beach, around in Daytona, having fun, man. We don't have to worry about this thing bottoming out. So when it comes to mounting these things, you can see we've already gone ahead and put all the masking tape underneath to protect the paint. And when you set this thing on, you want to be careful that you get it located where you want it, because once you start drilling holes, you're pretty much married to it. So we've got this thing set in place. We've marked a hole up front and one in the back, and that's going to be our focus point. So make sure you got these right, and we'll work from there.
Now, once the holes are drilled, we're going to slide these rib nuts in. And think of these rib nuts as a wall anchor for sheet metal. Basically, this is going to go in the hole, and these teeth right here, these knurls, are actually going to bite in, because this is going to collapse down. Those will bite into the metal, and that gives us a nice solid foundation right there. They're threaded on the inside. So when these go in the holes, then this comes back up, and that's how you mount it all up with the screws. So you get a nice solid connection.
Next up are the Poison Spider Crusher flares, and you can tell by looking at them, as Matt would like to say, these are a beefy piece. So the way these mount, it's pretty easy. It goes kind of similar like we did with the rockers there, but what we want to do and emphasize is the fact that these things don't just mount to the body like a plastic fender flare would. That's just sheet metal. It won't have any structural rigidity. What these things mount to is the subframe of the Jeep, and then you've got these brackets that reinforce it. So basically this becomes part of the frame of the Jeep. That's how strong these will be. So it'll take any kind of beating you can throw at them. Give us a lot of ground clearance. We can run us up to a 37-inch tire like we're going to put on this thing with only a 6-inch lift, which means we're going to have a lower center of gravity, so this Jeep will really handle well.
Fender flares are all locked up and in place. Nice job, B. Those things
Nice.
are looking good. Now all we have to do is send them out to the paint shop and get them matched up to the vehicle. That's going to look really nice when it's done. But that lets us come on up here to the front of the vehicle. Now this is the Brawler Light front bumper. So this will slide on nice and easy. And I like this because it's 3/16 plate steel all the way around. So this thing is tough, right? You've got the recessed holes for the lights. And you look at the angles on this thing as far as the clearance goes. It's all designed to have a good angle when you approach the obstacles. Also, as far as the width goes, it's stubby, and I mean it's a little bit narrow, which is good. That means we can run a huge tire right there, and we're not going to have any issues with clearance between the tire and the bumper.
Yeah, this front bumper wouldn't be complete though unless you mount a winch up on top. So it's got the mounting brackets and holes are up top, which is kind of nice because it keeps that winch a little bit farther away from any obstacles or water hazards that you're going to go through. So it'll protect the winch, so to speak. Now what we're going to do is mount on top is this 8500 Rugged Ridge winch. Now we've got the Hawes Fairlade and the mount itself, and it's all sitting here instead of mounted on because we still need to paint this thing. That'll be, once it comes back from the paint shop, we can bolt this thing in place, and it's got a couple nice features on it. First of all, it's got a synthetic rope, and that's really nice because it's a safety issue. Now, if you were to overstress this thing and actually snap the rope, well, it's just going to fall on the ground. And I think everybody knows that those cables, if you overextend one of those things and you snap it, it's going to come after you. So that's not a good thing. Now, when it talks about another nice feature is the cable. It's got a remote control on this thing, so you can give yourself out of the way a little bit. Boom, you can winch yourself out of trouble or help somebody else out. Gives you a little little bit of room to work with. That's a nice feature as well.
You know, back to this bumper, I forgot to mention my favorite thing about it is the fact that it installs in minutes. It's probably one of the easier things that we're going to do all day. I know, big surprise, right? But I mentioned the fact that you got these recessed holes here for the lights. So what we'll do is we'll pull the lights out of the stock bumper and we'll plug those in right there. But as you can see, we've got a bunch more lights that are going on this Jeep, and we'll get to those right after this.
Hey, welcome back. We are adding some much needed light to what Matt likes to call our truck Rubicon. Yeah, the name quite hasn't grown on me just yet, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of time. So what we're doing is putting these KC highlights on, man. It's probably the most recognized name in off-road lighting. I actually had them on my first truck, but I didn't have something this nice, man. These are really great. They're KC cubes. They're LED lights that put out a ton of light. Lifespan on these things, over 50,000 hours, more than we'll ever need. You know what? These things are impenetrable to water, dust, debris, all that kind of stuff doesn't stand a chance, so that's really nice as well. The other thing too is you can get these mounting brackets where you can mount these in place right by your windshield. You don't have to do any drilling, simply use the factory mounting locations. Will hold up to 3 different lights, and it comes with a 23-year warranty. Also, these things are gonna give you a low amp draw. So when I get done tightening these things down and wire it up, we'll move up to the front. Now up front, we're going to use KC highlights as well, but these are their HIDs with the internal ballast, which are really nice. These are some big lights with a big light output, man. You still have that same 50,000 hour lifespan, a nice low amp draw, and this together is a nice light package for this Jeep.
Something else that's going to come in really handy for us, especially out at this Jeep Beach event, are these rugged ridge floor liners. Now you take a look, they've got that deep ridge all the way around. That's designed because when we get in and out of this thing with sand and dirt and mud, it's designed to keep it down there on the mat and not on the floor. That way we can hang onto these floors and keep them nice for a while. So that lays in perfectly, nice deep tread, stays in one place. We can lock it in with the little factory clip, and that baby's good to go. We got them for the front and the rear, and we're going to keep these floors good and clean. This is the JK Stage 3 Power Pack from Road Race Motorsports, and it's designed to be everything that we need to bump up the performance of this engine by about 10%. It all starts right here with the performance intake. We've got the aluminum heat shield box, we've got the aluminum tube, and that goes down to the fuel calibrator right there, and it all ends up with this nice high-tuck exhaust that's going to be up and out of the way, so everything's going to work together, which is nice because a lot of times, you know, people will buy an intake from one company, a programmer from another company, and then an exhaust from a third company, and then they've got compatibility issues and they're wondering why aren't these things working together. Well, when you get them all from one company like Road Race Motorsports, they're scientifically designed to work together and they're dyno tested and all that, so you don't have to worry about compatibility.
Yeah, and this is what makes it all work together, because you can have the best hardware possible, but if the engine isn't tuned for that hardware, you're not going to see the benefits of it. So this is where the magic happened. It simply plugs into place in the existing wiring harness. No wiring needed. Now, in this, there's no tuning needed because they do all the work for you. So what they've done is they've calibrated the fuel and the timing maps to work with all these new components to give you the best fuel economy and performance, and that's really nice. Now this is what I'm talking about, a carbon fiber front grille for our JK, man. It's not gonna make this Jeep go any faster, but it's sure gonna look like it does. I mean, who doesn't like carbon fiber, right? Now the same people who gave us the performance mods for our Jeep here have given us the front grille. Now it's from Road Race Motorsports, and they are the only people making a production front carbon fiber grille, and it looks awesome, so that's a good look. Now while we're up front, we wanna take a look at one more thing, and it's the latches. Now, from factory, you get these rubber latches, right? One of the downsides to them is over the course of time, well, they stretch out, they wear out, and when that happens, the hood doesn't want to tighten securely. So from Rugged Ridge, we've got these aluminum hood catches. What's nice about these things is that they're all billet design, they're aluminum, they look good, they're nice and powder coated. You've got a nice firm locking latch where it's not going to let it buckle, not going to let it move. You've got a nice firm latch, man. The guys from Rugged Ridge.
This tip is brought to you by VHT, the ultimate in high heat performance coatings.
VHT has been known for many years in the motorsports and high performance world as a company that makes coatings for very high temperature applications. Obviously VHT, very high temperature, but a lot of people don't know that VHT has an entire line of products that you can accessorize your entire vehicle with from the inside and out. One of which is the VHT Caliper paint. This is a pretty simple do-it-yourself job. All you've got to do is get the tire out of the way. Now, because this application is aerosol, you want to make sure that you take the caliper off, which is what we did right here. We got it nice and clean with some Duplicolor caliper cleaner, and we're ready to lay on some paint. Now that it's all taped off, I can lay on 2 dust coats and then a medium coat, and that's going to be done. Now, the cool thing about the VHT caliper paint is it's going to protect this caliper up to 900 degrees, so it's not going to chip, flake, fade, or rust, even under extreme conditions. Now, this job is done. It was nice and easy, and as you can see, this caliper looks great. Now, once again, keep in mind, VHT has an entire line of products to help you accessorize your vehicle from the inside all the way to the outside as well. For more information about the caliper paint or any VHT products, be sure to check out their website.
Welcome back. We've got our power pack installed and we are wrapped up in body armor. The next order of business for us is to install the Dynatrack assembly we've got right here. Now, this is the Dynatrack Pro Rock 44 Unlimited with Dynatrack ball joints.
Now, this is specifically designed and engineered with a couple of different things in mind. First of which is increased ground clearance. You take a look down here, they've trimmed out like the whole corner down here on this plate. You may look at that and say, look, it only appears like it's about 3/4 of an inch, but that 3/4 of an inch can make all the difference in the world, especially if you're hung up on something or you're trying to get up and over.
Right.
Now, the next thing is durability and strength. This is a lot stronger, and all you really have to do is take a look at the axle tubes to figure that out. Over here, you've got a 2.5-inch tube with a 1/4-inch wall. Right here, 3-inch tube with a 1/2-inch wall, and that's indicative of the rest of the strength that's going on up here.
Yeah, this entire thing has been beefed up and strengthened throughout. Now, every nook and crevice, you've got the gussets here. Everything is physically bigger, and it's precision built and assembled right here in the United States, and that is always a nice thing.
All right, all we have to do is get it in now, right?
Yeah.
That's all you.
Just pick that up and carry it.
I got this, too. Now we can get back underneath the front end of this thing because we have ripped out all the suspension, all the axle, everything is out of there, right? That's all done. Now it's time to start replacing it. We're going to do that with this kit for the JK. It's the 6-inch long arm kit from Rough Country.
Now, it's nice because Rough Country gives you everything you need. I mean, it's a huge kit. There's a lot of suspension stuff that has to get up underneath, but you know what? It's all inclusive. So it starts with the 2.2 shocks. You got the springs, you got the cross member, the 1/4-inch skid plate, as well as all the control arms, all the hardware you need. And it's nice because it's going to give us that 6-inch lift with no welding required.
That's right. All right, it all starts. Let me get this cross member out of here.
You got that?
I got this. Don't worry about it.
All right, good. I'm glad. It's nice to see you do a little work. So now that we're underneath the Jeep, we can start putting in our Rough Country suspension systems kit. We've got our cross member in place and the lower control arms are hanging right here. The whole idea is we want to get that 6 inches of lift we're looking for, but we don't want to sacrifice any performance. And these longer control arms are going to allow us to continue to get good articulation, especially with this big lift.
Now you take a look at this. This is where the stock lower control arm bolted up, so we ground that all off, right? Got that out of the way. But just for fun, let's take a look. So let's say this is up there, and we want to jack the truck up, but we don't want to change the length of the arms. Okay, so boom, 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 it's dropping down. Well, you can see this angle is getting more severe. Now, if you get really crazy with it, all right, so now you can't center the axle up. That's going to look goofy. 2, the angle's real severe, so you hit a bump, it's going to jerk you. That's going to be uncomfortable. And 3, it's going to jack your steering all up.
Yeah, you know, the whole idea is we don't want to sacrifice any handling or any performance in terms of suspension just by getting the lift. And with these longer control arms and this kit from Rough Country suspension systems, we're not going to have to do that.
Well, what it does is we can drop that axle down and we keep these clean lines right here, and the geometry is all good. When it comes to this Dynatrack 44 axle, another cool thing is that you've got options as far as when you pick it up, right? So you can get this with the differentials and the axle shafts and everything in place, and they can ship it right to you. Or you can do what we did and buy it with nothing in there, because realistically, everything that's in here is just fine on this Rubicon system. So we'll just take everything, all the guts and all the innards, we'll take them out of here, put them in there, and everything will be fine. And when we put it back into the truck, another cool thing about it is it just bolts right up nice and easy.
Yeah, not only does it bolt right up, but it can save you a few bucks by doing it that way, by using the existing parts and just transferring them into that casing.
Now, you're talking about saving money, and we're going to upgrade the brakes too, and this is a great way to save a lot of money when we're doing that.
Yeah, this is the big brake kit from Road Race Motorsports, and the whole idea here is you're going to get increased stopping power and increased braking by using bigger rotors.
Yep.
The nice thing is you don't have to change out your calipers or your pads or anything else, just the rotors. We figure, how do you do that? It's easy, because they use this spacer right here. So typically your caliper would bolt right here. What we're doing now is this is bolting in place to the caliper caliper spacing back off of here, so you can use this bigger rotor, you have more clamp load, better stopping power by using just the same calipers and brakes, man. It's really a nice kit.
Yeah, and like you said, saving money and the job's easier. Now, we're upgrading so many things in this Jeep as it is, and we're going to put it through a lot of punishment. We are going to upgrade the brake lines, and we're going to do that with these stainless steel brake lines from Crown Performance.
Yeah, we use these all the time. They're DOT spec. They have a pressure rating of 4,500 pounds they've been tested at, which is way more than you would ever put to with your foot through the brake pedal. The nice thing about these things is that there's no volumetric expansion. With the traditional rubber lines, you're going to have a point where you hit the pedal, it's going to want to bulge out a little bit, and you're going to get a softer, mushy pedal. That's not going to happen here with the Crown Performance brake lines.
Now, I always geek out when we have cutaways of products, right? You always accuse me of that, but I love this one because it shows the 5 layers. You've got the stainless steel, the Kevlar. It shows you how many layers and how strong this is. Plus, on the ends, these fittings, man, upgraded stainless steel, good and strong. That's the whole idea behind these Crown Performance stainless steel brake lines.
So here's where we're at. We've got our control arms in, we've got our axle housing in place, we've got our springs in. Next up for us to go ahead and put in the shocks and then the track bar. Once we get the suspension kind of tied down, what we're going to do is use the suspension as a fixture, so to speak. We put our internals inside of this axle housing. Now I'm talking about putting in the locker, the production or factory axles, all the internal components. This way, when we use the suspension to hold it all, when we tighten it down, so everything will stay located and stay in place. Once we get that all done, we have to keep moving on. You got to understand, this is a pretty involved project we're doing here to do a complete suspension overhaul. It takes at least a good day and then some. Well, through TV magic, so to speak, we can kind of condense it all down and do it a few minutes, but there's still a lot to do, even though they give you all the parts and pieces to do it. So once we get our internals inside of here, we still have to put our sway bars on, all our brakes, etc., etc. We're getting there, but it's going to take a few minutes to do it, to say the least. So before we started modifying our Rubicon into a truck Rubicon, we sent out the roof panels to be modified as well. Now the guys at Autovation, what they did is they turned the roof into a G-top, and what they're doing is they're taking the factory hard tops and they're modifying them by putting in these panels. So what the panels do is really open up the whole feel inside. In the back you've got this big panoramic view, you got the light shining in the front. It really gives you an open airy feel to the hard top to your Jeep.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. So if you want one of these G-tops, you contact the guys at Autovation. Now, you can buy a brand new top from them, custom made with these kind of designs in it, or you can send them your existing top and they'll do it and send it back to you. And if you don't want the light coming in for whatever reason, you can button up this little shade right here that just snaps into place, and boom, that'll keep the light off you. So we got 2 big ones up here and a huge one in the back. I mean, it opens up the whole thing. This is nice.
And the other thing too is, by using the hard tops that are from the factory, you know that they're going to fit, you know they're going to last.
Yep.
They use all aircraft quality stuff, and it's warranted for 5 years or 50,000 miles, so you know it's going to last. It's nice.
I could use one of these.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.